where does it come from that these people, these right-wingers, are always like, drag queens are groomers, all these people are groomers, they're child predators and whatnot. It's like they themselves are child predators. They are for child marriage. They want to lower the age of consent. A lot of right-wingers are like convicted felons and whatnot, and then they turn into this anti-woke person, and then they get like shielded by this community of other predators, you know? It's so insane. You have to be a really bad person in order to be stuck there, or you're just trapped in an ego jammer, and eventually you're going to get out of that. But like, it's just toxic, and these people are so stupid. The problem is like all these right-wingers, these influencers and whatnot, or the right-wing media, they are telling them that everyone who is woke is like a bad person, everyone who's trans is like a bad person. And it's really difficult if you're part of that group, if you're part of that minority, to reach people who were taught that everything you say is incorrect because it goes against the group, and you're like one of the bad people. If I isolate a group, if I associate terms with something bad, it doesn't matter what you say to them, because you can't reach them. It has to come from within, that they're actually like starting to get out of that echo chamber. But a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people lack the self-awareness, and it's also like arrogance, and it's like, oh, I don't want to be proven wrong, I don't want my worldview to be ruined, I don't want to admit that I was like sucked into this and like being gaslit and manipulated and whatnot, and like, oh, I got all these super cool friends now who support my bigotry and whatnot. Like, these are the types of people. This is why you can't allow these types of people to even like generate a platform. You cannot tolerate intolerant behavior. You kind of gotta suppress it. It sucks that we live in a time right now where all these right-wingers, all these fascists are basically controlling everything. They're controlling Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Like, all these news sources and whatnot are just being controlled by fascists. They push each other, you know, they spend money on each other, they support each other. Like, all these podcasts, all these right-wing podcasts. The thing is, like, being successful as a right-winger is super fucking easy, because like, if you're a comedian, you just go like, my products are USA. Everybody is like laughing and cheering and whatnot. It's like so pathetic. They're all such losers. I'm so glad that I found myself and I got out of that toxic circle, and I stopped pretending and catering towards people like that when I started out with like content creation and whatnot, like 10 years ago. It's so cringe when I go back to, I don't know, old videos from like 11, 10 years ago. So I can understand why some people are like stuck in there. But also a lot of people, these influencers, they know exactly what they're doing, but they just don't care. And that's kind of painful. And I could never. I'm looking at this, and all I can feel for them is just pity. You know, I get all these death threats and whatnot. I've people try to, you know, twist the narrative, take things out of context today, or like just blatantly lie about me. Do like this character assassination just because I'm publicly trans and I'm talking about these things. And all I can feel for them is just, I feel sorry for them. Because like, how much do you have to hate yourself in order to like do something like that and think you're normal? It's just pathetic. I always worry that I'd be a terrible person if I was born cis, thinking of reliving my life as a cis woman. It scares me. I mean, you don't know.
If it helps, I'm cis.
Yeah, like,
and I'm okay.
The thing is, like, the majority of cis people actually supports trans people. If you look at polls and whatnot, the majority of cis people support trans identities.
My mom, who is 50, supports trans people.
Yeah.
She's super chill with it. And she was not, like, she was raised Christian. I mean, she's not Christian herself, but she was raised Christian. She wasn't raised around quote-unquote woke people, but she's like, you want to be a guy, my daughter, you can be a guy. That's totally fine.
My dad is also like slowly coming around. He's a conservative. He was actually like almost becoming like a pastor. He doesn't really get a lot of the things, and he doesn't really know how to like properly refer to me and whatnot. It's like, sometimes it's like weird, because he wants to like default to she when he looks at me, but he like sometimes just like corrects himself afterwards, and I'm like, no, you got it right the first time. Why do you do this? This is so weird. But yeah,
my mom is also similar. She's like, her pronouns are he, him. Like that's like my mom kind of like they tried.
Yeah, they got the right idea, but like I feel like a lot of the times you have to teach people how to properly like behave around trans people because they're not part of the community. They don't know anything about it and whatnot. When I started out with transitioning and I was like taking hormones and whatnot, like he didn't adjust. But then I was like 1 year without contact and I came back and I lost a bunch of weight. I got bottom surgery. I'm more feminine because of like HRT and all these things. And then it kind of clicked for him. Even allies can get it right without really getting it. I am a woman. You treat me just like any other woman. For my dad, it's just like, oh, yeah, you know, it's been the same for like the past 27 years. And now like this adjustment and a lot of people are like stuck in their ways. So I think it's also like kind of like a personality type, but you know, my family was fine with my queerness when they could pretend it didn't exist. Yeah, that's also like the other thing is like, I don't mind if you're gay, just don't bring your boyfriend home with us. I don't mind that you're trans, just don't start wearing dresses and all these things. Like that's kind of where my dad started out 6 years ago when I came out to him too. I hope it's going to get better. I think currently, we are at a point where we have to fight really hard. And it's going to be really exhausting. You know, like they're coming out to gay marriage and all these things. They beat people up if they think they're trans. And I think the general public, they were always like, no, you're actually overreacting. Like trans genocide, no, you're just overreacting. Oh, you're just fear-mongering. You're doing all these things. People let it slide for 10 years now when this whole thing started. And like the turning point was like Trump getting elected, and all the trans people were like, oh, you know, I'm kind of worried for my rights and whatnot, and they're like, oh no, it's not going to be bad. Like, oh, it's just 4 years, like it's not going to be bad. Now slowly more and more people are going to wake up to it, and we kind of have to endure it. It sucks because like we want the people. We told TERFs and whatnot, cis women are going to get beaten up in women's restroom because someone thinks they're trans. But they're like, oh no, this is not going to happen. Like, we can always tell and whatnot. We tell people that, you know, all these laws, all these bathroom laws, like strange men demand to see the genitalia of random girls before they can enter bathrooms. And you are okay with that. Because the idea of it being a trans girl instead of a cis girl is more terrifying to you than the idea of strange men just inspecting your daughter's genitalia. We warn people of all this, and it's like, no, this doesn't happen. Oh, Trump got elected, boo-hoo. What bad can he actually do? We warned everyone, and they didn't believe us. We're going to reach a turning point eventually, when people are actually going to start waking up. Because the majority supports trans people. The majority is fed up with this transgenderism, you know, with this anti-woke shit. Like, the majority of people, they're like, the economy is bad. Can we talk about that? Can we go after that? Can we do something? All these Republicans talk about is just like, oh, trans people. It's like, it's getting so annoying to these people. And on the other hand, it's us. We're like, hey, you know, like the economy is bad and all these things, but like, I still want to live. Can we, you know, not take away our rights and stuff? A lot of people are like, both sides are bad and, you know, nobody like actually represents me. I'm just going to be politically neutral because, oh my God. And if that is the majority, then it's basically right-wingers versus people on the left wing. And the majority is just like in the center trying to just remove themselves from that. And I think once people realize that right-wing fascists, that's not a good thing. I think then like eventually the general public is going to wake up and they're going to join our side. And this happens like every couple generations. So we're going to reach a tipping point. Jesus. You know, we're going to have the right-wing parties getting voted in, like here in Germany. We're going to see like a turn in a lot of other countries here in Europe, and it's going to like shape society. It is scary if you're part of that minority, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And it's really exhausting because it's like, it's difficult to keep going. It seems like the entire world is like against you, because the small minority in power, they want to exploit everyone, and focusing on trans people and whatnot is a good distraction. So that's why they're doing it. Oh, people are unhappy because inflation and whatnot, and minimum wage being so far away from a livable wage, and like the infrastructure sucks, and everybody's like unhappy and whatnot. But like I could have a little bit more money and power, so I'm just going to scream transgenderism, and then everybody is like distracted and focuses on that instead of actually things that matter. If you're woke, you know, if you're one of those woke people, it's fucking exhausting because you know what's actually happening in the world and who's responsible for it. If you're one of these anti-woke people, it just means like you're closing your eyes and you're just deliberately ignoring everything that happens in the world because you feel powerless and you just want to shield yourself. You want to delude yourself in order to like think you matter. Meanwhile, when you are one of those, you know, woke people, you just see what's happening in the world. I think of all countries, Germany would understand the importance. Like uneducated people, they just forget. We were like, oh, you know, AfD, they're basically like neo-Nazis and whatnot, and they're repeating Nazi slogans and all these things, and they're repeating all these Nazi tropes and doing the same things that they did. And everybody was like, nah, you're overreacting.
Say.
Nah, it's a buzzword. You people call everyone a Nazi. It's like, yeah, if you're a Nazi, you're pretty much a Nazi. That's where the problem comes from. And you see, Elon, I mean, the thing is, like, he is also, like, he just wants more power, more wealth, and all these things. And he knows how to get it. In America, you have this illusion of choice. You think, like, oh, you know, like, oh, Democrats are these people, and they actually care about these things. And Republicans are on the other side, and we can choose one or the other, but they're literally just the same people. The thing that decides whether or not you run as a Republican or a Democrat is literally, am I going to win? That's it. That's the deciding factor. And it's like this illusion of choice. And I didn't believe it. I actually didn't believe it. I was like, no, the Democrats are not that bad. But they're all friends with each other. You know, they're all hanging out in the same circles. Like, they don't believe in anything. They just want more power. They just want more money. Like, that's just what it is. In Europe, yeah, we have like a lot of similar issues. Like here in Germany, there's just so much misinformation, so much propaganda and all these things, and people don't want to read what their political parties actually want to do. And if you're like a right-wing party, if you're like a fascist, what you basically do is you don't actually tell people the laws that you want to push. You just say the current government is bad, left-wing bad. That's basically what you do. Because if you tell people, if you actually run with these are our plans, and you know, moving forward we want to have like these things and whatnot, nobody's actually going to you know, join you in that. Most people who vote for fascist parties, for right-wingers, for conservatives, they don't even know what their plans are. They're just like, I'm unhappy right now. These people say that the current government is responsible for my unhappiness, so I'm going to vote them because they are claiming that they actually have our best interests in mind and they're going to make it all better. And then you look at what their plans are for like tax reforms or like raising the age where you can retire and all these things. And then you tell these people, hey, look, these are actually their plans. These are what they voted for. You know, the reason why you're actually underpaid and whatnot is actually because they voted no on this law or whatnot. And they're like, no, you're one of those leftist wokies. You don't speak the truth. I don't believe you. And it's just arrogance and denial and whatnot. It's just ridiculous that the CDU is spreading so much misinformation and lies. They drop in the polls and help the AfD by doing that. Yeah, like all they worry about is like, oh, you know how gendered language, inclusive language, that's bad. We gotta get rid of that. That's just the problem. Conservatives are just right-wingers. They're all the same. Everyone in the center moving on to the far right, they're literally just the same. The only thing that you can do is just be on the left. Be progressive. And they don't like that. They don't want you. They don't want to move forward. Like, conservative values means like, I'm holding on to things like, oh, gay people aren't allowed to marry. Gay people are mentally ill and they need conversion therapy. Oh, church above everything. We don't need schools. We just need the Bible. Like, these are conservative values that they are holding on to, that they're clinging on to. And then you're like sitting there on the progressive end, and it's like, hey, you know, in order to actually move on and like improve society, like, maybe we should just like move forward. But there are like so many cultural issues that we can't actually make progress and improve the lives of people. They are coming for things that have been established in the past. The Supreme Court ruled that marriage equality, and no, you can't go after gay marriage again. And now they want to overthrow like the Supreme Court ruling. And I was like, wow, fuck, you know, we were dealing with this one issue, and now they're adding on, like, they want to go back on like other issues. Like, how can we move forward if they just like keep going backwards, and like so much stuff gets like added on top? It's just exhausting. Imagine you're trying to fill like a bottle, and then they're going to poke a hole in it, and then you try to like stitch that hole so you can put more water into it, but you only have like 2 hands. So if you have to stitch the hole, then you can't pour water in it. You fill the bottle, and then they poke more holes. So you focus on like just stitching all these holes, and you can't actually fill the bottle. That's what it feels like. It's a never-ending nightmare. And if you're one of those woke people, you actually see what's going on. You know? Ignorance is bliss for real. Like, it's so annoying. Like, society just needs like a reset. If there's a god, just, you know, make a patch out humans and replace them with cat girls and puppy girls and whatnot. Just do that. Normal human beings were a mistake. Just patch them out. That's just what it is. Cyborgs, please. Yeah.